Pain is a part of being human, but most of your suffering is coming from fighting the pain, not the pain itself. Buddhism teaches that the moment you stop arguing with reality, suffering begins to dissolve. This doesn't mean pain disappears. It means the extra layer of torture ends. There is a difference between pain and the story about pain. Pain is the event. The story is the echo. Pain says, "This hurts." The mind says, "This shouldn't be happening. This will never end. Why me? My life is ruined." And that second voice is where suffering grows, not from the wound, but from resistance to the wound. Think about physical pain. If you stub your toe, there is a sharp sensation. It rises, it peaks, it fades. But if the mind joins in and says, "This is always happening to me. I'm so careless. This day is cursed," the pain multiplies. Not because the toe hurts more, but because thought keeps reopening it. This is true for emotional pain too. Heartbreak hurts. Loss hurts. Fear hurts. But suffering is the mind replaying the hurt long after the moment has passed. Buddhism calls this the second arrow. The first arrow is unavoidable pain. The second arrow is self-inflicted suffering. You can't always stop the first arrow, but the second arrow is optional. Most of us fire it automatically. We add judgment to sadness, shame to fear, anger to grief. We don't just feel pain, we fight it. And fighting pain traps it in the body. Notice what happens when you resist emotion. You tense, you brace, you tell yourself it must leave. But resistance is a form of attention. What you fight, you feed. Pain wants movement. It wants to be felt cleanly and allowed to pass. Suffering freezes it in place. Acceptance is not surrender. It is cooperation with reality. It's saying, "This hurts, and I will let it hurt." And strangely, when pain is allowed, it softens faster. Imagine holding a heavy weight. If you clench every muscle and scream, "This is unfair," the weight feels unbearable. But if you acknowledge that this is heavy and adjust your posture, you carry it with less strength. The weight didn't disappear, but the extra tension did. This is what acceptance does. It removes the argument, and without the argument, pain becomes experience instead of identity. Most suffering comes from the belief, "If I feel pain, something is wrong." But pain is not a malfunction. It's a part of the human contract. Love guarantees grief. Attachment guarantees loss. Growth guarantees discomfort. To live fully is to live deeply. Buddhism does not promise a painless life. It promises a life without unnecessary suffering. A life where pain flows instead of stagnating. Think of grief. When grief is resisted, it becomes bitterness. When grief is allowed, it becomes love moving. Tears are not weakness. They are the body completing a cycle. Suffering begins when we refuse to let that cycle finish. We try to be above pain, beyond pain, stronger than pain. But healing happens inside pain, not around it. Here is a quiet freedom. You can feel sadness without becoming a sad person. You can feel fear without becoming a fearful life. You can feel pain without turning it into a permanent story. Emotions are weather. Identity is the sky. Buddhist practice teaches you to remain the sky while storms pass through. Not detached, not numb, present. Right now, whatever hurts in you, instead of asking, how do I escape this, ask, can I allow this for one breath? Just one? Pain shrinks when it is met directly. Suffering expands when it is avoided. And breath by breath, moment by moment, the body learns that pain is survivable. And what is survivable does not own you. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Not because you become superhuman, but because you stop adding war to what is already difficult. You feel what is here. You let it move. And in that honesty, something opens. Not happiness, not bliss. Something quieter. Relief. The relief of no longer fighting reality. And that relief is the beginning of peace.